Hello there heroes, I'm the Orange Ranger and welcome to another Power Rangers Ninja Steel episode review. You may notice that I'm back in the Halloween but not actually mask, and that's because we have yet another schedule correction to talk about. This time it's not the name of the episode, but what episode aired. Nick was set to air the 16th episode of Ninja Steel, Monkey Business, this past Saturday. And no, this is not a case of me reading the schedule wrong or misinterpreting things or just not seeing it right. The Power Rangers YouTube account actually posted a preview clip from that episode, and then schedule information started to leak that said we would get Monkey Business on the 7th and then the Halloween episode on the 14th. And then Nickelodeon released their official schedules, and it turned out that Monkey Business and the Halloween episode had been switched around. This is likely due to Nickelodeon finalizing their plans to do their "we have our very own Halloween in early October" for some reason, on the first Saturday in October instead of the 2nd. Or, you know, the 4th. With all that being said, it is time to take a spooky looky at the 21st episode of Ninja Steel, Grave Robber. So it's Halloween in Summer Cove, which is something I guess we're just going to have to accept, even if I'm deducting half a point for it. Principal Hastings seems to be getting the school ready for some kind of party. Meanwhile, Levi is playing his guitar while Brody, Preston, and Sarah sing along. Badly. And I don't just mean the singing, the guitar sounds bad too. I don't know what it was, but everything about that sing-along just didn't sound good. This random old woman seems to agree, glaring at the Rangers before dropping a box of junk in front of Principal 5-episode contract, saying she would like to donate her antiquities to the school. The principal is grateful, but looking through the box, it appears to just be a bunch of junk, so she tries to turn the woman down. But the woman has vanished. And spoilers, they never actually resolved that. The woman wasn't a Kudabot, she wasn't a monster, she wasn't Cosmo, Galvanax, Odious. She just disappeared and never showed up again. Inside the box was a board game called Grave Robber. Calvin and Haley return from a free lunch period outside the school, I guess, and Calvin thinks the game looks cool, so the principal gives it to him. He shows the others, and Brody thinks that they should play around before they go trick-or-treating. Now, I know you might think they're a little too old for trick-or-treating, but 1, this is a kid's show, and 2, who cares? I'll dress up in a costume and go door-to-door if it means getting free candy. Levi isn't interested, however. He doesn't like playing board games in general. That's his loss. I think playing board games is awesome. And he thinks that this one in particular looks lame, based on the art on the outside of the box, I guess. He wants to keep singing instead, but each of them insist on doing their own thing, and they agree to meet up later. That should have been the end of it, but unfortunately this is going to come up later. The Rangers head to their base to play the game, all decked out in their Halloween costumes. Unsurprisingly, Preston is a blue wizard, while in turn, Haley is a white witch. Calvin is Frankenstein's monster. Bet you thought you had me there, huh? Brody is a British palace guard, and surprising absolutely no one who follows Christiane on Twitter, Sarah is a pink unicorn. They set up the game, and I'm sorry, but that crystal ball would not have come close to fitting inside the game box. Brody turns the hourglass, and strange things start happening. The lights go dark. Spirits fly out of the game. The doors close, and in the top of the hourglass appears Cosmo Royale. Surprise! The mysterious board game dropped off by the mysterious old woman who mysteriously vanished is a mysterious trap. The Rangers are now stuck in their seats as Cosmo Royale welcomes them to the Galaxy Warriors Halloween Special. That was a cute touch, but does everyone in the galaxy celebrate Halloween? The Rangers must now play and finish the game or be destroyed when the sand in the hourglass runs out. Well, I mean, that's easy, right? Just keep flipping the hourglass over until you figure out how to escape. Well, the problem with that is that this is a magical hourglass where the sand runs one direction no matter which way it's flipped. Of course, this doesn't end up preventing the solution to this problem, but that's something we'll get to later. Each step on the board is the grave of a monster that the Rangers have defeated before and must now defeat once again. Now, being a Neo Saban holiday special, we were all bracing ourselves for the clip show. They would reuse clips from old episodes, maybe with some new dialogue. The Rangers had to relive battles from their past. Ooh, maybe they even had to remember exactly what they did before in order to win those battles precisely the same way they did the first time. Heck, they could have even gone really lazy and made this a Trivial Pursuit type board game. What Zord did you use to defeat Hacktrack? So kudos to the show for using an incredibly unique idea for a clip show that allowed them to save money while giving us new footage. You see, as I've explained before, the Sentai that Ninja Steel is based on, Shuriken Sentai Ninja, was an incredibly goofy and silly Sentai. There was a good bit of footage that they decided not to use because it fed into that motif. They used it here. All of the clips in this episode are not clips from old episodes of Ninja Steel, but Sentai footage from the Ninja that they didn't use the first time around. It's just such a creative idea for a clip show, and it's definitely an idea that is worthy of some applause. Their first fight is against Trapsaw. The monster and some Kudabots have the Rangers on the ropes, and Haley suggests that they try acting like ninjas. What a concept! This gives Brody the inspiration to come flying in from the sky using an incredibly bright, loud, shiny, slashing attack. It's effective, but were you listening to her? Their second battle is against Hacktrack, which, to remind you, is one of my favorite monsters from this season. Sarah first reminds us of what we already knew. This is one of hers because the monster hacked her hollow clones, but she has an idea. She grabs some kind of remote radio thing and has Calvin grab a box of tools to bring those items into the game. However, Hacktrack has an even smarter idea. The Rangers are on a timer, so he just runs off. Hacktrack is playing Superman 64, leaping tall buildings and clearly about to fly through some rings at some point here. So Brody uses his new ninja kite technique to follow him while Calvin and Sarah work on something. This scene actually brings up a major problem that I have with Ninja Steel. This feels like the third or fourth time that one of the Rangers has said, hey, why don't we use that new technique or star or Zord or whatever that we learned about off screen? Can we please see some training, some development, instead of just popping up with the perfect thing to handle the situation and we never even got to see it happen? So anyway, whatever Sarah and Calvin were working on gets finished. Sarah also apparently learned the kite technique off screen, and she destroys Hacktrack with blue donuts. Moving on. Their next battle is against Sloger, and the Rangers realize that if they get hit with his slow mist, that's going to make it far harder for them to beat the timer. So of course, Preston mentions the slow mist directly to Sloger, pretty much reminding him that he has it, and he uses it against them straight away. Way to go, smart guy. Sloger starts kicking them around, a fate richly deserved for Preston's lack of battlefield tact, before Brody shows up from absolutely nowhere to save them. And then the fight suddenly ends. Cosmo declares that they lost, basically acting like a really bad dungeon master. You all lost because something happened. I mean, I don't know. Listen, don't ask questions. You mustn't dwell. Move along. Since the Rangers lost, they now get a misfortune card, which will make their next fight harder. The card's modifier is that the next fight must be a one-on-one. Calvin rolls the dice and lands on Spinferno. Brody gets set to go. He's taken Spinferno on one-on-one before, but oops, it was Calvin who rolled, so it's Calvin who must fight. We then see that this episode is so dedicated to using up Sentai footage that we get the first instance of a Japanese person in Power Rangers since Super Megaforce, maybe? Spinferno uses some kind of ring to take control of the truck the man is driving, also binding Calvin's hands and tying him to the truck, which is about to race off the edge of a cliff. Calvin manages to bust into the truck and save the man, throwing him into a forest net that he surely learned how to make the same day the others learned about the kite thing. However, Calvin misses the net when he jumps himself, so he saved the driver, but he didn't save himself, and thus he loses. The next misfortune card makes the next fight a gigantified one, and Cosmo smashes the Skullgator button. Except I have a little problem there. You see, I'm assuming that Cosmo was actually in the real world, like the Rangers are when they're not fighting against the monsters. We do see a wide shot of the Galaxy Warriors crowd watching everything go on. So wouldn't hitting that button summon a Skullgator outside the game, in the real world? Anyway, the Rangers go in and summon their Zords, which immediately brings me to another question. Why do their stars work in the game? Cosmo has a line where he directly says this is his game with his rules. Why would he let them be the Power Rangers in the game? Anyway, after a short while, Cosmo reveals that the Misfortune card had a secondary function. He is now able to summon any of their Zords and have it fight for him instead. He chooses the Robo Rider Zord, which is a creative use of Sentai footage. The Rangers think if they could just use the Bull Rider Zord star, they could block Cosmo's control, but of course Levi's not there. Preston worries about destroying the Robo Rider Zord in order for them to survive, even though there's absolutely no indication that anything inside the crystal ball is actually happening. I'm actually just going to take another quick second to talk about that because to me it was kind of one of the biggest plot holes of the episode. You would really assume that when the Rangers touched the crystal ball and got transported inside, that they're getting sent to some kind of pocket dimension, temporary thing, maybe like the one in Galaxy Warriors actually, and that none of that was really happening. Because if they're getting just transported outside to the real world, then they're free, right? This is where things actually get kind of interesting. Brody hands Preston the chainsaw sword. It's called the Ninja Master Blade, but I had to look up that name to remember it, so Chainsaw Sword it is. And detaches the Robo Red Zord so the two Robo Zords can fight one-on-one. Needing something to sit in that chest chair, the Rangers form the Astro Megazord, no, not that one. And that's where things get a little weird. Because you see, heroes, this is technically an alternate formation of the Astro whatchamacallit. Normally, when the Rangers form this Megazord, the Robo Red Zord becomes the right arm. However, Robo Red's just a touch busy at the moment, so they leave on the Nitro Zord section that forms that arm. The funny thing is, this is clearly still Sentai footage, so I guess this happened in a Ninja 2? I don't really remember it. Like I've told you, heroes, I've mentally repressed a lot of the Ninja because it was really just that bad. And what you folks might not realize is, I'm kind of half serious about that. There are seriously large chunks of the Ninja that I just don't remember anymore. In a shot that apparently wasn't used originally because it was just too awesome for American television, the Rangers use the Cosmic Blast finisher and shoot the Skullgator in the face at point-blank range to destroy it. However, the Robo Rider Zord summons the gun from the Bull Zord, able to do this because of Shut Up, and blasts the Rangers out of their Megazord. Cosmo says, screw the rules, and summons a second Skullgator. You know, as this game gets less and less fair, I have less and less care. If Cosmo's not even going to honor his own rules, why are we bothering with them in the first place? Now, I bet you heroes thought that a holiday clip show focused on using up Sentai footage wouldn't need to bother with something silly like a moral of the day, right? Well, trick or treat, and you chose trick, because it's time for the moral of the day. Pumpkin Mick shows up from absolutely nowhere, as usual, and asks Levi where the others went. He basically says something along the lines of, I don't know, we were singing and then board game, stupid nerd stuff, and they left, whatever. In his classic, I'm not accusing you of anything, but you're being a total dick style, Mick points out that they did something he likes to do, singing, but then they wanted him to do something they like to do, playing board games, and he didn't want to go. And that was selfish of him. He agrees and decides to go see what they're up to. Except that that makes no freaking sense. all of the Rangers like to sing. Brody sang his dad's song, and then they all sang it at the campfire. The other Rangers weren't humoring Levi, they were all doing something together that they all liked to do. Then the others wanted to go play a board game, and Levi wasn't interested. I have friends who like board games. I have friends who don't like board games. That's fine, it's called life. I'm not going to guilt my friends that don't like playing board games into playing Betrayal at House on the Hill with me because we ate burgers together the other day. I like eating burgers and playing Betrayal at House on the Hill. It's fun. Levi heads to the base and finds it dark and empty and the doors won't open. So he forces them open. He forces the doors open. They weren't magically sealed or even locked, just kind of gummed up by webs. Moving right along, Levi very quickly gets up to speed with what's going on and jumps into the game. Cosmo teleports into the game, now wearing a fourth face, very angry, and says that the rules forbid outside help. Levi points out he's not actually playing the game, and so he doesn't have to follow its rules. And Cosmo agrees to this, despite, once again, this being his game, and he makes the rules. Make up your mind, you freaking still face. Levi uses his Bull Rider Zord Star, and it indeed works, and he forms the Bull Rider Megazord. All 6 Rangers hop into the cockpit for some reason, and they use the Blasty McGunny to destroy the other Skullgator. Cosmo says that the Rangers cheated, but it's too late anyway, time's about to run out. So Levi reveals that he brought the hourglass into the game with him, and the Rangers all shoot it. And this works. The 5 of you never thought to try that? The Rangers are freed from the game and are very grateful that Levi showed up when he did, but he refuses any thanks because he didn't do what they wanted to do, and he's very sorry about that, and we just have to crowbar this moral into the episode somehow. The Rangers all leave to go trick-or-treating. Happy October 7th. Trick or treat, I sing bars, gonna give this one some stars. Episode 21. Yes, episode 21. Grave Robber. Prose, incredibly creative concept for a clip show in terms of footage use, trapped in a board game is a cute concept, and a villain plot from Cosmo for once. Cons, multiple confusing aspects of the game, my standard complaint about the date of the episode, and the worst, most crowbarred in moral of the day yet. Whoa, hang on just a second. I really feel like there's something I'm forgetting. There's something I usually complain about, especially right at the end of an episode. It's the reason that even when Ninja Steel has a good episode, I still feel kind of annoyed right at the end. I can't quite think of what it is. Oh my Zordon. This episode did not include Victor and Monty in any fashion. Plus half a point. You know, in the end, I think this episode got a 5 for its concept and a 1 for its execution. Grave Robber gets 3 stars out of 5. I don't think I can really remember a Power Ranger season that has done a clip show that used this kind of a concept for the clip show. And again, I just think it's genius. This is footage that they didn't have to pay for. They already had it. They just didn't use it because it didn't fit the stories they were writing. So they get to use that footage now for free, and we get a clip show that's not actually a clip show because all the footage was new. Just a really genius production move. This episode also used a really creative concept in writing. Okay, well, at least for Power Rangers. It reminded me of an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine called Move Along Home that was very similar. So then I decided to look up the concept on TV tropes. I found one and ended up spending more than an hour adding this episode to that page. It's called Win, W-I-N, to exit, by the way. Anyway, for Power Rangers, it's very creative. I don't think they've done this one before. The closest we have is Jungle Fury's Don't Blow That Dough, but that was a game show, not a board game. And after seeing him be a supporting character for so long, it was actually really nice to see Cosmo run a plan on his own for once. Now, I will admit that they skimped a bit on the details. Again, the old woman just vanished, and we have no idea who or what she was. And we never even see Galvanax, so we don't know if he was even okay with all of this. But it was just really nice to see him in control for once, and it really gave what's actually a pretty fun character a chance to shine. But oh my heroes, once again, here we go, because yet again, a Ninja Steel concept that was a great idea was mucked up, I said mucked up, by fine details. The Rangers being able to use their powers in a game that was under Cosmo's control. The Skullgator button sending the Skullgators into the game instead of into reality. Preston reminding Sloger of his slow mist. Levi being able to force the doors open when really they should have been locked. Cosmo agreeing with Levi's BS excuse that he's not a player in the game and doesn't have to follow the rules. Levi wishing, no, you know what, I'm going to save that one. But being able to shoot and destroy the magic hourglass. It's just like they put a lot more thought into using up the Sentai footage than in the framing device that actually allowed them to use up the Sentai footage. But far worse than any of that was this episode's moral. I have bashed the show for its moralistic writing, cramming a moral into every single episode, it feels like. But at least most of them made sense. I mean, you have ones like Preston can only use his magic to help people, or at a school talent show, apparently. Or Haley saying that emotions are what make you human, when that's clearly not the case. But that doesn't come anywhere close to this one. The moral of this episode is that you are not a good friend unless you spend time with your friends doing things that you hate. It's not true. As a matter of fact, good friends will realize that not everyone likes everything and you can still be friends. You want a perfect example of this? I would not make most of my friends sit through an episode of Power Rangers. It's just not their thing. And even if I do something with them that they like, they're under no obligation to join me in turn. It is my personal choice to do things with my friends even if I don't like them. It's not a requirement of friendship. If this is sounding like it's striking a little closer to home for me than usual, it's just because I happen to really love playing good board games. I've been rewatching episodes of Will Wheaton's excellent YouTube tabletop gaming series called Tabletop, although I would also recommend the equally excellent, although sadly short-lived, Game Grumps series Table Flip. Board games are a lot of fun, and I would recommend that everyone give them a shot. But they are not for everyone, and it's definitely a hobby where people either really like them or don't like them at all. So the idea of making someone play a board game just... Okay, well, you know what? Speaking of tropes, I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the trope of family game night. I mean, heck, maybe even you had a family game night. My family tended to more like video games than board games, and we actually played them together quite often, never really a family game night. Family game nights are usually portrayed as awkward, boring, and excruciating. And that's how some people feel about playing board games. Don't make people that feel that way play board games. It's not going to help. And the most annoying thing about this whole moral to me is that Levi refuses the other Rangers thanks because he should have been there from the start. If you had been there from the start, you would have been playing the game and subject to the game's rules. You would not have been able to do the stuff you did to get the other Rangers out of the game. So, basically what you're saying is that you wish you had not been able to save your friends because it meant you would have been a better friend to them. And you're wrong about that too. Sheesh. In conclusion, I found this to be an incredibly frustrating episode. I really loved the unique creative concept of using unused Sentai footage for this clip show, as well as the board game framing device. But once again, it was just those little inconsistencies and little errors that make me wonder if this show has a proofreader. I really think that Ninja Steel would benefit a ton from having an independent, non-writing staff editor who could look over these scripts and point out the little inconsistencies that I point out on a regular basis. Now that we're done with the Halloween diversion, it's back on the regular episode track for a few weeks, including Saturday, October 28th, which is when this episode should have aired in the first place. Now, I've actually already previewed the next episode since I thought it was the one we were getting this time, so I'll very quickly toss it to myself from last time to tell you about the 16th episode of Ninja Steel, Monkey Business. Calvin and Haley decide to run for office, but are thrown into discord by a monster capable of recording their voices. That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Ninja Steel episode review. Thank you heroes so much as always for watching. Make sure to like the video by clicking the like button right down below. In the comments below, let me know what you thought of this episode and of my review of it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to see all of my videos, and ring that bell, get your notifications set up so you get notified of whenever I post brand new videos such as this very episode review. And if you'd like to toss a little trick-or-treat candy support to my channel, you can head to digitaltipjar.com/OrangeRangerVid. Toss a little financial support to my channel, and I'd greatly appreciate anything that you can give. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you.
And cut! Great job, Sean. Another solid review.
Thanks a lot, bud. I'm gonna go grab a sparkling water. I'll be back in just a second, okay?
You got it. I'll start preparing to edit. That was fast. Change your mind on the sparkling water?
Huh? No, I'm not thirsty right now. Besides, I'm kind of in a rush. I want to get this review filmed, so let's do it.
What are you talking about? We just filmed the review.
Check your memory circuits, bud. I was at the store. I just got home.
I don't need to check anything. You did the review already. You were wearing the mask of not actually Halloween, remember? Where did it go anyway?
Buddy? The mask is on the wall. Look for yourself.
What in the...
Inside of the box was a Halloween-themed board game called Grave Robber, just like the episode, imagine that. Nah. He wants to just keep singing instead. However, each of them decide... Fart. He wants to just keep singing instead. However, each group decides to... Not decides, insists. Brody is a palace guard. That was the wrong order anyway. Brody is a British palace guard, and the Sarah is the one that is the other one that is. Right? The Rangers are now stuck in their seats as Cosmo explains something. This gives Brody the idea of flying in from the sky and using a really loud, bright, shiny... Calvin manages to work his way into the truck and saves the man, throwing in... We do see a full widescreen shot of the Galaxy Warriors cast crew farts. After a short while, Cosmo reveals that the misfortune... Levi heads to the base and finds it dark and empty, and the doors... It's just not their thing. And even if I do something with them that they like, they fart. I'm sure that many of you... I hate little bloopers like that.